This story begins in a hospital where many children are born, and among them is a baby girl named Mona Kawai, who is incredibly beautiful and cute. She is so cute that anyone who sees her, whether a boy or a girl, instantly develops a crush on her, and she becomes everyone's favorite. Even while playing, no one wants to trouble her, and they intentionally let her win. This makes Mona feel like she's the queen bee, and everyone is obsessed with her. She grows up with this belief. When she goes to school, as soon as she steps onto the road, everyone who sees her is mesmerized and becomes happy. The same happens at school. As soon as she enters, everyone is delighted to see her and respects her. In class, when she arrives, everyone greets her with a hi and is happy to see her. However, Mona says hi to a boy named Kuroiwa, but he doesn't pay much attention to her. Mona is confused and wonders why he doesn't give her any attention. The guy turns out to be a Sigma. Mona says to Kuroiwa, "It's been more than 2 weeks, and you still haven't bought your uniform." But Kuroiwa, our Sigma boy, just ignores her, which makes the other boys jealous. Mona keeps trying to talk to Kuroiwa, but he always ignores her. Then Kuroiwa says, "Please leave me alone." Mona is completely shocked and starts wondering why he doesn't pay any attention to her. She thinks, "My charm works on everyone except him. Whenever I'm around him, I don't feel like the queen bee." Then she notices Kuroiwa looking at cats on his phone. Mona starts imitating cats to get his attention, and while the other boys in the class are captivated by her, Kuroiwa isn't impressed. He says, "What are you even doing?" and turns his face away. Mona feels extremely embarrassed, and the other boys get angry at Kuroiwa for talking to her like that. Later, Mona tries to talk to Kuroiwa again, and he says, "Only talk to me when you need something or have work to do, not unnecessarily." Hearing this, Mona is both shocked and heartbroken, as are the 4 boys in the frame. Mona runs out of the class and thinks, "From childhood till now, everyone has fallen in love with me, but my charm doesn't work on him." After a while, Mona is putting up a poster and stands in a way so that Kuroiwa might see her panties as he walks by and feel a little embarrassed. But Sigma Kuroiwa walks away without paying any attention. Then she pretends to fall, hoping he will notice, but all the boys behind her have already seen it. However, Kuroiwa walks away without noticing, and her plan fails. During class, Mona tells the teacher, "I'm not feeling well. I need to go to the nurse, but can Kuroiwa come with me?" The whole class, including the teacher, is surprised, but the teacher allows it. In the nurse's room, Mona gets too close to Kuroiwa and he says, "I thought you were feeling sick." Mona says, "Look, you're the first boy I've gone this far for, so tell me how you're feeling." Mona notices Kuroiwa blushing a little and thinks, "My charm is working on him." But then Kuroiwa makes a creepy face and she realizes it's not working. Mona grabs Kuroiwa's hand, but they both slip and fall onto the bed. At this point, Mona tries to use her charm on Kuroiwa and even opens her shirt, revealing her chest. But Kuroiwa, being a Sigma, makes a weird face and angrily says, "What are you doing?" Mona starts crying like a child and falls to the floor, with Kuroiwa falling on top of her. Mona feels embarrassed when she realizes her buttons are still open and says, "What are you doing?" Kuroiwa, embarrassed, says, "I'm not doing anything," and leaves, saying, "You should do all this with someone you like." Back in class, Mona thanks Kuroiwa, and he just looks at her and leaves. Mona feels shy and thinks to herself, "Have I fallen in love with him? I don't know what this is, but I promise I'll make you fall for my charm." The next day, the same story continues. Everyone adores Mona as usual and they're happy to see her. Then, Sigma boy Kuroiwa enters, but he doesn't pay any attention to Mona and walks straight past her. A girl named Asai is surprised to see this. During sports class, Mona is stretching, and all the boys go crazy watching her. Mona says to Kuroiwa, "You should stretch too." Hearing this, the boys get jealous and glare at Kuroiwa, but he ignores Mona. Mona thinks to herself, "Just wait, I'll make you fall for me." After sporta class, Mona tries to impress Kuroiwa by striking cute poses, and all the boys are captivated by her, but Kuroiwa turns his face away and walks out of the class. The boys are shocked, and Mona's heart breaks again. Later, Kuroiwa is washing his face, and Mona approaches him thinking, "Why doesn't my charm work on him?" She bends down to drink water, and Kuroiwa blushes a little while looking at her. Mona notices this and thinks she's figured out how to charm him. She spills water on herself, soaking her shirt, and her bra becomes visible. Kuroiwa turns red, and Mona, realizing this, says, "Don't look at me." But Kuroiwa takes off his shirt and gives it to her, saying, "Wear this." Mona feels shy and thanks him as he walks away. A girl sees this. During break time, 2 boys from his class grab Kuroiwa and say, "You're being too harsh on Mona. She talks to you, and you ignore her." Later, the 3 of them are in the park, where Kuroiwa explains, "I've been told not to talk to girls, and I don't know how to talk to them. In my village, there are only old people and goats. There's no one as beautiful as Mona, so I don't know what to say when she's around me." The boys understand why he can't talk to Mona. Kuroiwa blushes as he remembers the moments he spent with Mona. He thinks, "What am I even thinking?" My principles don't allow this. Kuroiwa is a boy from a village who strongly believes in God, so whenever he thinks or does something inappropriate, he puts his hand on his head and chants, I shouldn't think this, I shouldn't think this. The next day in class, Mona gives his shirt and says, I wore this, and now it smells like me. Do you want it back? Kuroiwa blushes and starts chanting again. Mona thinks, no matter what you do, I'll make you fall for me. The next day, Mona leaves for school again, and everyone is happy to see her because she's so cute. At school, she finds out that today is their drawing class, where they have to complete a drawing with a partner. Mona's partner is none other than Kuroiwa. Mona poses as a model for the drawing, and her cute poses make all the boys go crazy, but Kuroiwa starts chanting to avoid falling for her charm. Mona gets angry and thinks, no matter what you do, you'll have to look at me because you can't complete your assignment without seeing me. She remembers the incident by the water and realizes he was looking at her neck. She strikes a pose that makes Kuroiwa blush, but he starts chanting again, saying, I need to clean my spirit and mind. Mona keeps posing, looking incredibly beautiful, and Kuroiwa blushes again, but says, this is part of my training. I have to do this no matter what. He calms himself and starts drawing Mona without feeling shy. Mona notices a girl watching her and wonders why. Kuroiwa completes the drawing, and his friends say, you've made an amazing drawing. You should keep it at home. Kuroiwa blushes as he thinks about Mona and himself. Later, Kuroiwa is in the library picking up a book, and Mona is about to pick the same book. Mona says, this is such a cliché scene. Look, we even have the same taste. Why don't we read this book together? But Kuroiwa gives her the book and says, you read it, then walks away, chanting. Mona notices the same girl watching them again. In the library, all the boys are jealous because Mona is sitting too close to Kuroiwa, who is trying to calm himself. Mona notices the girl watching them again and wonders why. She thinks, maybe she's not looking at me, but at Kuroiwa. Mona feels jealous and imagines the two of them together, which makes her even angrier. She thinks, this can't happen. Kuroiwa will be mine first, and then he can be someone else's. She decides to use her charm on Kuroiwa quickly, before someone else takes him. She puts on glasses and looks even more beautiful. Everyone, including Kuroiwa, blushes, but he tries to ignore her. Mona taps his foot under the table, and Kuroiwa says, you shouldn't do that. Mona asks, tell me, how do you feel when you see me? But Kuroiwa makes a weird face and says, you're so annoying. You shouldn't kick people like that, and walks away. Mona is both angry and embarrassed, but then Mona notices that the girl is looking at Kuroiwa again. Because of all this, Mona's mind is completely frazzled. From now on, she starts paying attention to that girl, Haruno. She sees Haruno watering the flowers in the garden, even though no one asked her to do it. Later, while changing in the locker room, Mona notices Haruno's figure and feels a lot of jealousy because Haruno's body is better than hers. Mona starts feeling troubled and thinks, she'll easily win over Kuroiwa. I need to do something about this. On top of that, Kuroiwa still doesn't show any feelings for her. Then a boy approaches Mona and gives her the book she had asked for. Mona thanks him. As soon as the boy leaves, she thinks, I've never spoken to Kuroiwa with love. I need to try that at least once. Now, Kuroiwa sitting comfortably on the terrace. Suddenly, a flying handkerchief lands in his hand. It belongs to Mona. Mona says, it flew over to you, and thanks him. While taking the handkerchief, she thinks, I'll also say I love you to him. She adds, this handkerchief is very important to me. Mona is about to say I love you, but a strong wind blows, causing her clothes to fly up. Kuroiwa sees this and feels shy. He says, I didn't see anything. Mona runs away without saying, I love you. As she walks away, she thinks, why am I so shy to say I love you? Now, the school festival is happening. In class, it's decided by drawing lots who will do what work. Everyone is busy with their tasks. Mona thinks, it's been a month and Kuroiwa still doesn't show any feelings for me. Haruno says, I'll help you with the festival preparations. I'll give it my best because I've been assigned as a helper. It's Mona's turn to draw a lot, and she also gets the role of a helper. This means both of them are responsible for preparing the festival. They sit together and make a list of things needed for the festival. Haruno asks Mona, what kind of clothes do you wear when you go to a festival? Mona replies, I always wear a bunny outfit. Hearing this, Haruno gets very excited and praises her a lot, but Mona is thinking, our situation is like a love triangle now, but I don't even want to talk about it. Haruno is very happy about the festival, but Mona sees her as competition and wants to outshine her. Haruno offers Mona some chocolate, and Mona enjoys it. But then Haruno gets a call and hides her phone. This makes Mona feel strange, and she asks, whose call was that? Can you show me your phone? Haruno firmly says, no matter what, I won't show you this phone. This makes Mona even more curious, and she starts following Haruno. They both trip and fall, Mona checks Haruno's phone and finds hundreds of her photos. Haruno admits, "I've always been watching you. I like you a lot." She adds, "I don't want anyone to know, but there are over 300 photos of you in my phone. When I first saw you, you looked so cute." Haruno says, "I know Kuroiwa is your crush. You like him, and whenever he's around, your shine changes. I'll help you get closer to him, but only if you become my friend." Mona agrees. At school, preparations for the festival are in full swing, and their class is opening a cafe. Mona thinks about all the things they'll need, and Haruno arrives, saying the costumes are ready. Mona says they've become much closer now. She notices Kuroiwa making a flower and thinks about him. Haruno says, "I hope you get to spend more time with Kuroiwa during the festival." Mona tells her not to keep bringing up the same topic. Later, Mona starts looking at the costumes, and then she starts trying it one by one, and with every costume. His character was also changing. Mona tries on the costumes and feels embarrassed in a bunny outfit, thinking, "It shows too much of my body." As she's about to change, Kuroiwa walks in and sees her. He drops his papers and says, "The teachers asked me to put these here, but I guess I came at the wrong time." Haruno's voice is heard outside, and Mona panics, thinking Haruno will see us together. She pulls Kuroiwa into hiding, and they end up very close. Haruno picks up the papers and leaves. Mona feels relieved, but when she turns around, she sees Kuroiwa completely relaxed, as if nothing happened. Mona regrets her actions and says, "Forget everything that happened here." Kuroiwa says, "You look really cute in that outfit," and Mona is stunned. Kuroiwa leaves embarrassed, and Mona thinks, "Why am I so attracted to him?" Kuroiwa also thinks, "My heart was beating so fast. She looked so cute," but he calms himself and leaves. The next day, Mona hopes Kuroiwa will talk to her nicely because he called her cute yesterday. She says, "Good morning," but Kuroiwa makes a weird face and says, "Good morning," and her charm fails again. Finally, the festival day arrives, and their class opens a bunny cafe. The cafe is crowded because of Mona's popularity. Haruno shifts Kuroiwa's schedule so he can spend more time with Mona. Mona asks Kuroiwa to go out with her, but he refuses. She suggests eating something, but he eats the pancakes he made. Mona thinks, "I thought he'd changed after yesterday." She tries to charm him, but he ignores her. Haruno puts bunny ears on Kuroiwa and orders him promote the cafe with Mona. They go outside, and Mona thinks of something Kuroiwa would like. She sees a haunted house and thinks he'd hate it, but she notices Kuroiwa looking at it and realizes he wants to go in. Mona is scared, but goes in for him. Inside, she gets scared by the ghosts, but Kuroiwa doesn't notice. Her clothes get stuck, and she calls for Kuroiwa, but he doesn't hear. She grabs his shirt, and when he turns around, he sees something inappropriate and blushes. They both scream, and Mona runs away, still stuck. Back at the cafe, Haruno burns all the pancakes. Kuroiwa removes the wood and gives it to a ghost. Mona thinks of taking Kuroiwa to a nice place. They buy an ice cream cone, and some ice cream gets on Mona's cheek. Kuroiwa tells her, and she says, "Why don't you wipe it off?" Then all the boys become jealous of her. Suddenly, a crow comes and snatches Mona's ice cream cone. Later, while they are watching the concert, Mona's height becomes an issue as she can't see properly. She puts her hand on Kuroiwa's shoulder and says, "Why don't you put me on your shoulders? I can't see properly." But then she realizes Kuroiwa isn't even there. Next, they start blowing balloons, but Mona's balloon pops. Meanwhile, Kuroiwa is having fun with his balloon, and Mona's heart breaks again. She feels like she's completely lost because every plan of hers fails. She starts looking at a book and notices it's already 4 o'clock. The festival ends at 5, and Kuroiwa still hasn't come near her. Then they both see many couples on the bridge, and Mona is surprised. She thinks, "How are there so many people here?" Then she remembers Haruno's words, "This is a lover's bridge." At this moment, Mona feels very strange. Meanwhile, back at the cafe, they are burning all the pancakes, and everyone is upset. Asai starts talking about leaving, and her friend says, "This is so bad. You came here to meet her, and you couldn't even do that." This concludes this segment. I hope you enjoyed it. For more content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next part.